The state is looking to cut health care benefits for public workers and at the same time continuing to give tax breaks to the wealthy and corporations. It's just happening at the state level what the administration in Washington is trying to do at a federal level.
I want to move a little bit abruptly, but we are a Southern radio program. We are on the radio right now in Tennessee and Alabama. And, you know, the UE doesn't have a huge presence in the South, but one standout exception is UE Local 150. I think that is in North Carolina. North Carolina, even among Southern states, has a really, really low union density rate. And yet, UE Local 150, even as public sector collective bargaining is illegal, UE Local 150 has been very, very effective in its advocacy for its members, which are public sector workers in the state of North Carolina. Can you talk to us about Local 150 and some of the successes and some of the, you know, the highlights of that local as you see it, and anything else that UE is doing in the South that you'd like to bring attention to?
Sure. We're very proud of our history with UE Local 150. Since the 1990s, they've been organizing within UE. It grew out of an organization called Black Workers for Justice, which was organizing in North Carolina and recognized that that state wasn't going to change until workers were organized into unions, and this was a way to do it. As you indicated, it's collective bargaining is illegal for the public sector in North Carolina. So even when there's a city that might have relatively progressive elected leadership who would like to sign a union contract with their municipal workers, it is illegal for them to do so. This is a direct vestige of Jim Crow and the laws that were passed at that time in order to keep Black workers and white workers divided, so that the rich could do what they wanted to do. But Local 150 has been organizing both state workers and municipal workers, and they don't need some official piece of paper saying they're a union from an employer. They organize the workers. They raise hell. Municipal workers have repeatedly in recent years, done a lot of pushing via city councils, making public protest, etc. There have been several cases where workers have withheld their labor. They've stood down for the day or for some series of days when things are tough enough, and it's illegal for them to strike. So these are not officially strikes in any way, but they make their point, and they've been able to greatly improve wages and working conditions for workers in a good number of cities. We've made use of meet and confer in a number of places where we're able to go in, the elected union leaders in a particular area go in and talk to department heads, et cetera, to try to adjust things and make things better for the workers there. And similarly at state level in certain state institutions, and even there are some graduate workers in the North Carolina public university system who have organized, understanding that we've done that elsewhere. It's not generally you're not in a majority situation in terms of people who are at any particular time paying dues on a voluntary basis, et cetera. That's a very tough road there when you can't get a labor contract, you can't get all the things that come with that, a grievance and arbitration system. There is, in many of these employers, a grievance system of some sort. We frequently can't have direct union involvement, but we train the workers on how to fight their own grievances, give them the support they need. And then there's just a lot of work, building community support and putting pressure on these various public sector employers to do better by their members. They're engaged in a big fight right now, because the state is looking to cut healthcare benefits for public workers in the state, and so we've got a campaign going around that, and at the same time, of course, continuing to give tax breaks to the wealthy and corporations, and it's just happening at the state level, what the administration in Washington is trying to do at a federal level.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
You mentioned that UE Local 150 has engaged in, I'm not sure what words you used exactly, work stoppages or standing down, whatever. But you mentioned that, strikes are illegal in North Carolina. And so certainly, at the very least, what UE Local 150 has done would, by some people, be called a strike. And many unions are very, very wary of engaging in any activity that could be seen as illegal. And I could see a similarly situated local under another international union be significantly punished for engaging in action that might be perceived as illegal, in part because potentially the international union could be held liable for damages or end up bankrupting the union. I mean, I think the ILWU, who we mentioned earlier in the program, is facing some significant economic consequences for supposedly illegal actions that they took, and I think they're declaring bankruptcy or something. I mean, it's very concerning stuff going on over there on the West Coast. And so, how does the UE approach, or how do you think through, giving your locals autonomy while, encouraging them to be judicious in the actions that they take, so as to not bankrupt the international union? Or is there so much local autonomy that, whatever Local 150 does, the international actually cannot be held liable for those sorts of things? How do you think about those sorts of actions at the international level and empower workers to engage in actions that they feel like are necessary to improve their working conditions while looking out for, making sure that you kind of protect the greater institution of the UE?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is we're not going to tell a group of workers not to fight for themselves. You ought not to have a union if you're not prepared to fight for yourself, and that's the problem with the labor movement. We have too many unions where they don't want workers to fight for themselves. That's got to be the starting point. Now, exactly what tactics and strategies you use, all of those, of course, are shaped by the organizational situation, the legal situation, and beyond. But we also know that the rule book in this country is written to stop workers from doing things. And the last rule in the rule book generally is workers lose. If we follow that rule book all the way through, we're going to lose. I was on the ground at just a tremendous event, and I hope folks are aware of it or look it up if they aren't. The Republic Windows and Doors plant occupation in late 2008, with 250 workers sat in at their plant that was in the process of closing, and demanded that they get the monies that they had coming to them, or they weren't going to let the machinery and the inventory that was in that plant be stolen out from underneath them when it should be being used to pay the money that was owed to them in a bankruptcy that was taking place with the connivance of a major bank and a corrupt set of owners. And that was under the laws of this country, illegal under labor law, I suppose, also technically trespassing, et cetera, all kinds of things. The tactic was get the public on our side, make it impossible for them to come after the workers. And in fact, the public got on our side so much that almost all political leaders in the area came out in support of the workers, up to and including then almost President Barack Obama, who had been elected but wasn't yet in office. And he got called on it at a press conference and came on the record saying, if these workers are owed money, then the workers are right. He didn't say, workers are not allowed to sit in and they should be arrested, which is what, under other circumstances, other politicians might have said. Under other circumstances, he would have said it. But we had created the circumstances where they couldn't say it because we had the public on our side, because we were talking about the banks got bailed out, we got sold out. I mean, that's where that slogan that later got popularized by Occupy Wall Street came from. So, I think that's the same thing that the workers in North Carolina, to the extent that they've taken dramatic action, they've done it in a way where they've built the public support for it such that the government wasn't going to be in position to come after them or their union. It is true, though, that, given local autonomy, I think the national union has some level of insulation, but, given the way that the courts are these days, I wouldn't rely on any court to protect any union from anything. If you're going to spend your whole life in the union movement cowering out of fear that you might get sued, go find another job. That's what I would say, because it's what's put the labor movement in the position it's in at this point.
There we go. That is fantastic response. I love that.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.